Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Taxi Talk, a magazine which even Daily Mail readers look at and go, steady on. We start with, show support for UKIP by what?
Not taking illegal immigrants, because there's just too many of them in this country, and it's about some of us and taxi drivers, and we made a stand on this and said they shouldn't be here and they've got to go back. It's got to fit into that bit there.
Oh, sorry. I just got a bit carried away, that was all.
It's show support for UKIP by cozying up in your dressing gown. This is a magazine... If you don't know about this, I'm not sure how the message is getting across.
I must be a bit out of touch, mustn't I?
UKIP, surely not. This is a magazine advert for UKIP's own range of Keep the Pound dressing gowns. Perfect for those special times when you want to rant about Europe and relax.
They look terrific. Are they for her? Are they not an equivalent?
Well, do UKIP allow women to vote? Are you allowing the vote?
We're terribly modern and liberal about that sort of thing. We really are.
It's also ideal for that hotel trip when you've been upgraded to a room with extreme views. Next, what takes a Norwich cabbie by surprise?
Ipswich. Ricky Martin.
Not Ricky Martin. It's actually a £1,000 tip. Next up, invisible what is spotted?
Dalmatian.
It's a gecko. This is the gecko that's so well camouflaged that no one's ever seen it before. It's a very rare creature, or there could be billions of them, we'll never know.
Next, huge duck army. What?
Huge duck army absolutely massacres tiny duck army.
Faces massive bill.
Huge duck army patrols South African vineyard. This is a vineyard in South Africa that uses an army of 800 ducks to control pests. Next, 18-foot-long cucumber. What?
Does not bother woman with 19-foot corridor.
18-foot-long cucumber available for events. The Cucumber Growers Association.
Oh, that must be the finale for the Daffodil Festival.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Is that real?
It looks a bit like a dirigible.
It's got a handle in the middle of it, look.
Yeah.
Like, it's as if they're going to pick it up there and... I mean,
break
what?
down the doors of a massive salad.
Next, bald men on high alert. What?
As seagulls target pates.
Good enough.
What?
Yes. Bald men on high alert as marauding owl attacks. It is a bird one. This is about an owl terrorising people in Devon. One bald victim of the so-called terror owl was Richard Clevedon Smith, who reluctantly agreed to recreate the incident for the local paper.
I see that in the photograph behind him, the local Beatles tribute band are restaging the cover to Abbey Road.
So here we go with I'm what, and what, says Andrew Marr.
Young, gifted and black.
Once, twice and 3 times a lady.
Nope, the answer is I'm extremely ugly, hunched and under 4 feet tall.
Was he as an assistant to Frankenstein? Yeah.
No, but he is neatly avoiding the issue of his silly, sticky-out ears.
Yes.
Next, Stanley Johnson's assistant. I'm a little worried that Stanley's what might what.
Son might turn up and canvass for him. That's happened. Stanley lost. Isn't that sad? He did lose, didn't he?
It was a tragedy,
He did.
actually. We really wanted that moment, the first father to follow his son into the House of Commons.
Yeah, both Johnsons sitting in the House of Commons asking questions.
Probing away.
Where am I?
What time's dinner? Stanley's over-enthusiasm might put off voters.
No, the answer is Stanley's trousers might fall down. Well, Stanley's assistant is right to be worried. On a previous occasion, when Mr. Johnson's trousers came down, it resulted in Boris.
No, That's true. That's a warning from history.
Next, Professor Jim Horn of the Sleep Research Centre at Loughborough University says what?
Keep the noise down.
Wake me up before you go.
Letwin is a menace. He is very foolish. Professor Horn criticised Oliver Letwin for driving after less than 3 hours' sleep. Next, Boris, Michael Howard is going to what?
Win the next general election, lead a Tory party in a marvellous decade of unbridled power.
Sack me tomorrow.
Lose, wasn't it? 'Cause
It's a long gap for lose, isn't it? Did you have hiccups in the middle of it?
There's 3 goshes and a crikey each side of it.
Well, Boris is the editor of The Spectator, which is Peter's magazine, and they went to press before the election, and the editor, Boris, obviously decided the Tories were going to lose. So all the articles in the magazine assumed defeat.
No, that's not... But remember that Boris never reads the articles in the magazine. So... you just got ahead of yourself there.
In what sense does he edit it? Does he buy the magazine and just cross words out? I wouldn't print that.
Now, the answer is go on and on. Old Man Howard, that old man Howard, he just keeps rolling along.
Better than satire. You can't make Boris up.
No. I mean, that actually was one of the most coherent statements from Boris throughout the election campaign. Next, Stringfellow, we had a wonderful evening. I was struck by...
Dysentery.
What?
Eamon Holmes.
The enormous size of Tony Blair's majority.
The sexiness of Margaret Thatcher.
Yes. The answer is Lady Thatcher's sense of humour. Stringfellow thought Thatcher was witty and hilarious, but then he does spend most of his time talking to lap dancers.
Well, she wasn't auditioning, was she?
I feel queasy now.
Yeah, but you'd want to see film of it, though, wouldn't you?
And finally, what would taste good on a slice of bread, says Tory activist?
Tony Blair. Godzilla.
Tessa Jowl.
Tessa Jowl. Yeah, I go along with that. We say Tessa Jowl, holding a pot of Marmite.
No, the answer is Sandra Howard. Yeah. Sandra told one journalist that election night will be the first evening we've had off for 2 months. Well, the first of many.
And so to the homely charms of our final missing words round, a variety of oblongs masking vital parts, each and every one taken from this week's newspapers, with the exception of those from tonight's guest publication, the toweringly impressive Diarrhea Digest, which blissfully describes itself as an irregular publication. So stand by for the oven that thinks what?
There's more to life than cooking.
The oven that thinks it's a Hoover.
It is a domestic appliance, yes.
A George Foreman multi-grill.
Yeah.
Toaster.
Electric kettle.
Cuddly toy.
Just to the left of the...
his and hers matching bathrobes.
To the right of the cooker.
To the right of the
fridge.
The fridge, yes, is the right answer. Next, Rolf's what to hang what?
Desire to hang sick animals. He's just, you know, he's just fed up with the animal hospital. Just to put it, you know...
Painting National Gallery.
Classics, yes.
You Mr. Harris
to hang in the National, yes, this is the National Gallery to be precise, or National Gallery Cafe to be more precise, or the National Gallery Cafe Toilet, probably, to be brutally honest. Next, I've got what in my gut?
The ground force team.
Toma Salata.
It's not, it's even more surprising.
Tennis racket, says cat.
No, the answer is a brain. The frankly startling news that our guts have a primitive brain, or as Diarrhea Digest helpfully puts it. Next, nudists with attitude sees what?
Quiz show host. Get them bloody clothes off.
Is it nudists with attitude sees up in the cold weather?
It isn't. It is, in fact, the high ground. Next, I let a robot what?
Host my quiz show. And there was a significant improvement.
Is it...
Relentless. Yes.
Says the voice of the people. Always at the news of the world.
I don't think they'd say that.
Is she a friend of yours, Angus? Good. That's right, love. It's only another 20 minutes to go. If you've got a friend, you're both in luck.
That strange feeling of déjà vu.
Believe you me,
the rest of the country.
Operate on my knee. And lastly, can what cure diarrhea? Quiz show host. No.
Cork?
It's coconut macaroons. This is the theory that coconut products can relieve chronic diarrhea. Although, according to Diarrhea Digest, we haven't seen any hard evidence backing this up.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the Powerful Owl newsletter, which obviously they've got because of my association with owls. I once killed an owl with a shovel. No, sorry. And we start with what? Forced to deny claims that he underwent 16-hour sex change to become Michelle.
Mrs. Obama.
Mike Tyson.
Oh, really?
He's been forced to deny this. Apparently, this spoof story appeared on a website which then spread around the world. According to the story, Tyson visited the same skilled reconstructive surgeon that Terry Williams used before he became Serena. Next. I hate what, says Mick.
Blues music badly played by middle-class white people.
Irish stereotypes.
I hate tight trousers, says Mick. Next. Pulling cigarettes and shampoo, what?
And my only joys in life, says Pope.
Can all cause a leech to regurgitate into a wound, worsening infection.
Oh, should have guessed
yes,
that.
this is advice for owl spotters on how to deal with blood-sucking leeches. And finally, guitarist was sitting on what?
Flat-faced pullet owl.
A small fortune. This is a story about a man who I think found about £85 down the back of his sofa. I've just got to brace myself from an immense amount of hatred from the north of England.
Don't do it, then.
I've got to, Ian. It's on the auto-tune. You know what that means. There's estimated to be £1.61 down the back of an average sofa. So if you live in Hull, what are you waiting for? Run out into the front garden and check.
Bad wizard. Bad.
It's that Missing Words round I promised you, featuring this week's guest publication, Groundtastic. I borrowed it from John Motson, in fact. So here we go with, why go to the beach when there's what to visit?
Elderly relatives with lots of cash. A football league ground very near you.
It's Bootham Crescent Stadium.
Oh, of course.
Oh, of course.
Which league are Bootham Crescent in at the moment?
They're in Division 3 of York City. Yeah. Thank God there was something I knew here. It's sad about York this season, Ian, isn't it?
Terrible.
Why do you think that is?
Did they lose to Lancaster?
Next. Villagers strike it rich as they discover what?
Fire. There's a village in Norfolk.
Where the bank is.
The poor burn easily.
Cash machine is doubling their money.
Of course.
Next, what is a lying weirdo who has stolen my identity?
Thatcher says Blair.
Rory Bremner.
The answer is Kevin Spacey. And finally, Ken Livingstone backed what for bees?
A lorry over a cliff.
Congestion charges.
Yeah. Is it tuition fees? Yeah, tuition fees for bees.
The answer is new stadium.
Oh, Brentford. Brentford.
Football fans love club nicknames. The B's are Brentford, the O's are Orient, and the C's are Manchester United.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Oil Installer, a magazine of the heating industry.
That looks like my local priest.
And we start with, I look forward to the arrival of Oil Installer magazine, but
I
what?
must get out more instead.
If anyone gets this, I'll give you £100 of my own money.
OK, right, here we go. I look forward to the arrival of Oil Installer magazine, but I wish you had more colour photographs to indicate the wide-ranging aspects of our industry.
The opposite.
I look forward
I'll give you £100.
It's gone too The answer is, I look forward to the arrival of Oil Installer magazine, but we are a niche specialist magazine and we should keep it that way. Next, what, missing for more than a century, rediscovered by scientists?
Theresa May.
The answer is faceless fish, missing for more than a century, rediscovered by scientists. This is the faceless fish that was spotted this week for the first time in Australia since 1873. According to the scientist who found the fish, you can't see any eyes, any gills or any mouth. I think what you found there, mate, is a stick. Next, what? No longer a dirty word.
Coffee.
Dirty.
Oil.
Oil, no longer a dirty word. According to Oil Installer, oil is no longer a dirty word. Well, that depends on your point of view. For some, oil is refined. For others, it's crude. And finally, big birds are more likely to what?
Fly short distances. Cluck longer.
Big birds are more likely to be faithful. Scientists revealed this week that birds with small brains are associated with promiscuity, with females being the guiltiest of all. According to the research, the albatross was the most faithful bird, followed by the guillemot, while the common shag was what they called the sparrow who lived opposite.
Furious Margate grandma demands Tesco what after what?
Demands Tesco reimburse her after exploding apple crumble renders her sterile.
You are so close to the truth.
Oh, really?
In fact, she demanded that Tesco repaint her house after a bottle of prune juice explodes in her kitchen. After the prune juice exploded violently in her kitchen, the Gran has heard nothing from Tesco. But she's had one keen inquiry from the North Korean Missile Development Agency. Next, what has gone missing with no sightings for more than 8 months?
Loch Ness Monster.
Hope.
It was the Loch Ness Monster. If you believe this story, you really should take a long, hard look in the mirror, as they're the only paper that bothered to cover it.
Now, Missing Words is the final round, featuring this week's guest publication, Dancing Times. I was a bit younger when that was taken. OK, Bush lets what do the talking?
Grown-ups. Arse.
Roosevelt.
No.
Chirac.
No.
Keith Chegwin.
Schroeder. Body language. Body language,
yeah,
yes.
body language.
Next, love affair with computers could create what?
The pitter-patter of tiny laptops. Is it sticky keyboard?
I'm not going there.
They all go, whoa,
The answer is world without romance. Next, tap dance on the what in Switzerland?
Is it cheap? Tap dance on the cheap?
No, not
Is
cheap.
it piss?
What?
Tap dance on the piss in Switzerland. Get drunk and tap dance in Switzerland.
No.
It's a holiday.
No.
On the increase.
On the well done.
Oh, well done.
Natasha. Yes, tap dance on the increase in Switzerland. Yes. It is on the increase. Well, it must be temptation when the hills are alive with the sound of music. Right.
That was Austria.
dear.
You know your musicals, don't you? At public school, Ian appeared in an amateur version of The Sound of Music. That's right, isn't it?
I was Hitler.
It's a walk-on part, but a necessary role.
And finally, the riffle is basically a what with a what.
It's a trifle with a T missing.
Answer is shuffle with a scuff between the brush and the pull.
Oh, yeah.
See, in tap dance, you have a lot of things like ball changes, flat, ball change, flat, ball change. They're all terms, for it. OK, which I'm sure they couldn't care less about.
Especially when you demonstrate it under the desk, though.
We can testify that your shuffle ball change was very good. Yeah.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Skirmish, the living history magazine. £10.66. That's too much to pay, isn't it? Each issue should cost £5. And we start with a common question I get asked at battle reenactments is
what side are you on? Are you my minicab driver? Weren't I married to you in Maidstone in the 1960s? Any one of the three.
I actually went to a living history festival once. There were whole fields full of people, some Vikings and then sort of Peninsular War soldiers and Anglo-Saxon. There was a group of them, and there was just one bloke sitting on a chair, and round him were loads of women, and he said, I'm the mead lord. Everyone here is just here to serve me mead. And I said to one of the women, why do you do this? And she said, he's got a car.
I went to a World War II reenactment. I was making a film about aspects of Ireland near Cork, and they had all the sort of gear, you know, the right uniforms, the vintage motors. And at one point, a Winston Churchill lookalike came up to me. He had the hat, he had the cigar, he had the waistcoat, he had the entire look. He looked like Winston Churchill, and he said to me, Paul, I'm a big fan of yours. It was very disturbing.
OK, well, here we are. A common question I get asked at battle reenactments is, why do you and your mates always play Germans? These are English reenactors who always take the part of the German army. Talking about the origins of the World War I reenactment group, their leader said, we started in Belgium, so full marks for authenticity. Next, penguins in Norfolk are what?
Lost.
Related?
Demanding a penguin's vote.
Are breeding with their relatives.
Bored?
Penguins in Norfolk are too randy.
Oh.
Penguins never have any difficulty finding a mate, as they're notoriously easy to pick up. And finally, man in Hull drives car into what?
Hull.
Frenzy, Utopia, City Centre, Mrs. Watson. Mrs. Watson's dog. Alan.
Gap in the road where there are no yellow lines?
Oh, no, well, sort of to do with the road. Man in Hull drives car into large hole. This is Grant Parker from Hull, who drove his car into a massive pothole. Here he is illustrating how big the hole is. Grant said, I thought hell had opened up as he drove into Hull.
For the Missing Words round.
Oh, I'm good at this.
Which this week features as its guest publication the Luton and District Model Aeronautical Society newsletter. There's some lovely models on page 3. 2 Spitfires and a Hurricane. And we start with Jesus turns up what?
And gives Richard Dawkins a real shock.
Jesus turns up the heating. Jesus turns up in a scone in Stafford.
You got the food wrong.
Got the food wrong. Scones, crisps, sponge cake.
No.
Toast.
No.
Walnut whip.
Yeah.
No.
Face like a walnut whip.
No.
Oh, no, I won't go through all the food stuffs in the world.
Jesus turns up on a halloumi tortilla wrap. So there it is.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The image of Christ was found on a tortilla bought at a local supermarket, part of Morrison's Meals for the 5,000 range. Next, naked police officer catches sight of what?
Naked police officer catches sight of his wife in bed with 3 policemen, and he goes in and he says, hello, 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 and she says, what's the matter? Aren't you talking to me, then?
True story.
Naked police officer catches sight of fugitive in sauna.
Oh.
Classic Swedish police sauna arrest. The suspect was hauled over the coals and beaten with a special branch. Next, what is harder than it looks?
Have I got news for you?
Creme brulee.
Landing your model plane without crashing is harder than it looks.
Yeah.
And finally, what won't appear until after Brexit?
Halley's Comet.
Christ the Almighty.
The Luton and District Aeronautical Show.
Well done. The next edition of the Luton and District Model Aeronautical Society newsletter